too. And hi, Teresa, welcome. I don't see Tom and I don't see Colleen, but I see them there. And Patricia, of course, our virtual expert. Oh, Jennifer and Sanjay have made it too. Yeah, today we're opening up this meeting by talking about what is it that we're looking forward to. And so as we talk about the inevitable pivot and how we're feeling productive with it all, I finally started the book. So that's one thing that's been key. Hey, there's Kate, who's connecting to audio, but she's part of the book writing group that we've got going on.
This is okay to be on now, right? Are you meeting?
No, that you're here. We're all meeting. This is an opportunity for us all to connect and just have a chat, a little bit of pre-Jeffrey discussion about what. So today our topic is something to look forward to, and we're moving into the pivot.
So some of the things that I've also been doing is I decided, how do I make sense of a lack of structure? And so I started to write my second book, and it was something that I hadn't had the time. And one of our lovely colleagues, Sarah McVannell, was starting this group. So guess what? So I jumped in, Kate and I joined the first cohort, which is called Awesome. And what it allowed me to do is to kind of, all these things that I'd been planning that I hadn't had the time before, that was something that I was doing. And recently, it's just because my coaching practice had dropped off in my speaking, it was something that I felt like, okay. And we would joke around about, who were the morning people in the group and how good was our writing. And at times I could tell you my writing, I'm not sure that much of it made sense, but at least it was something that I could look forward to each day.
Yeah, so we're wondering what are some of the things that this group is doing. Please feel free to open up the chat and let us know what are some of the things that you've been doing to help you cope with the uncertainty, whether that's a personal project or part of your work pivot. We're very interested in hearing what you've been doing as a group, so type it right into the chat. And we're also interested in hearing what of the topics. Jeffrey had a very robust description of some of the ways that he's going to provide value to us tonight. And so what are some of the things that you're looking forward to most hearing from Jeffrey tonight to give him a little bit of a boost of what this group, to help tailor it to this audience? Drinking. Thank you. There's our girl.
Where's my scotch bottle? Where's my scotch?
Shelley, what are you doing? Are you the one drinking, or are you doing something a bit different?
Oh, well, I've been drinking. Not tonight, however. I'm on celery at the moment. Sorry, no, I've been ultra busy and getting overwhelmed and deciding what I need to offload. And for somebody who's normally very decisive, I've been undecisive. I've been trying to retire for ages, or at least semi-retire, and I haven't been able to make a decision about what to offload. So I was looking at my son this afternoon in the window, and I was thinking, he could go. Yeah.
You could give him up. Anybody else? What about you, Tom? I saw you unmuted. Is there what have you been doing with your pivoted time?
I just took out the garbage, so I just got back. So
you just took out the garbage. Okay, well that's an accomplishment.
So what's the question?
What have you been doing in this time of uncertainty? Have you had to pivot certain things, or are there things are you business as usual?
No, I had to give up something major. Last summer I won the Ontario Championships for my age class for the Masters, and the National Championships in 800 meters. And my goal was to run the World Championships this summer, which happens to be in Toronto. Every 2 years they hold it, and they hold it in a different part of the world. I was in Finland 1 year. But I trained all summer, all winter, did weightlifting, did my running, worked with a coach, got all ready, and then they canceled it.
Oh my goodness.
So I've been crying a lot the last 3 weeks, and sleeping a lot, making up for the sleep for all the workout I did. But I'm trying not to use the R word. Who was saying that before? Shelley was saying that, yeah. But I think I'm going to put in front of it semi, only because I started writing my autobiography, and I think it's funny. So I'm looking forward to that, to find out what my life has been like up to now. And
So what's the R word? Someone just asked
Not
online.
allowed
what's
to
the
say
R-
it.
yeah, I can't say it out loud. Yeah.
You can't? Okay.
Oh,
All
Barb
right.
did it.
David, you might know that word, right? 'Cause,
I recognize it, but I refuse to say it out loud.
Actually, I think you're going to have to send him a private message to get that answer.
but the other thing I'm doing is I'm listening. I love classical music. I used to be a violinist, and I was a concert master and soloist at one time. And I always dreamt I would come back to it, and I wanted to do a concert. And I rented a violin for a month because I gave my 2 violins away when we moved. Not a smart move. And I think my fingers got fatter over the years, because those that know about playing a musical instrument, you can't sort of be on the note. You have to hit a certain spot. And it was kind of humorous, but it was humbling as well, because in my mind I knew what it sounded like. And I wanted to play Tchaikovsky's Violin Concerto in D major. It's the only one he wrote. He gave it to 2 people. He never played the violin, which is really unusual. He gave it to 2 of the best violinists in his day, and they turned it down because it was too hard. So he had to rewrite parts of it. So I figured I could do a third of it, but when I played it in my head, it didn't sound like it did in my head, because I know the music really well because I play it a lot. But the last thing I'll tell you, I've been listening to Spotify. I never took time to listen to music. I'm a workaholic, and I love working. And as some of you know, I do a lot of reading. I'm doing a lot of reading on becoming Miss Bahami here.
Oh, yeah, that's a good book.
And fabulous book. Yeah, I'm in the first half of it. But I haven't had an audience for a while. That's why I'm going on. But I'll stop in 30 seconds, Shelley. Otherwise, you cut me off, okay?
Yeah, 30 seconds, Tom. That's what just. Anybody else?
When people talk in the subway, do you notice you missed the next 3 stops because you're still telling the story? Or is that just me? Anyway.
Well, retirement is kind of like pivoting, isn't it, though, Tom? I see Robin's talking about he's had 6 retirements already before the age of 55. You haven't really just retired, Robin. You've just pivoted into something new. And so great to hear all this discussion about pivoting. Todd, I can see you're pivoting to a playoff beard look.
I shaved this all off a week and a half ago, and it's coming back. But
no, Todd Sinclair next to you, Tom.
Yeah, you know what's funny? Somebody said to me, "Todd, you have a beard." And I said, "How long have you known me?" And they said, "Oh, I don't know, 15 or 20, 15 years, 10 to 15. I haven't been clean shaven in 25 years this August." So it's the first time you've noticed my beard. Oh, it is a little longer. I would say one of the pivots I've done, I ended up I subcontract a lot of work, or get subcontracted to do work. And they put me through a virtual leader training program. So I actually finish it tomorrow, but a whole bunch of hours in a classroom online, bunches of hours between, a teach back, how to create engagement in this virtual world, not from a keynoting perspective or webinaring, but how do you create engagement so people learn? Because I got to take 3 days or 8 days of in classroom, put that online. And so that's been really interesting, how you use all these tools and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, that's what I've been up to.
Boy, that sounds interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How many people have learning as their highest value?
Say that again?
Todd,
how many have learning as your highest value? This group?
Yeah.
I'll bet at least half the people here do, yeah. Yeah. So Todd, good, we're jealous of you that you spend time doing that.
So Todd, that might be a good at some point for you to share that, some of your learnings with people, because I know as a board, we just had our board meeting that we're looking for innovative ways to be able to share some of the things that people have been doing. And so that would probably be something we'll tell the programming committee to make sure that they reach out to you and see if you can kind of share some of that wisdom that we might be able to put out to the membership.
One quick one, if I can, some of you know, since I started this organization back, I think in 94, 95, something like that. Every I call them semesters still, because before I had a real life, I used to be a professor. And every semester, I've given a course to members of CAPS over those years. And so this year, I decided what I'm going to do is offer my $5,000 sales course at course, and I've never charged, and so at no charge. But what I'm going to do is let each president do a draw at each of the chapters for the people that want to be there. And the only requirement is it'll be virtual. The only requirement is you do the homework or you get the boot. And if you're not willing to do the homework, and there's a good chunk of homework, but I will give you the best of what I've taught. Some of you know me. I've taught the largest companies in Canada, and including executive coaching. So I'm going to share the best of what I've learned. And part of my learning was reading a book a week for 39 months in a row before I had to travel, and I used as an excuse I didn't read that week. But so I've got a bit of background. So I'll be offering that for those that have an interest, and I'm going to restrict it to 5 people, by the way, because there's 2 people that I didn't finish a program with. I still owe them something. And,
thank you, Tom, highlighting one of the other benefits of CAPS, and there are many. And this group knows that you may have seen that there's a webinar coming up this week for those who want to pursue their CSP. So that's coming up on Thursday. There's a number of things. Jennifer Fleming, did I see you had your hand up? Did you want to share? Oh, no, you were just waving. Okay, she's staying on mute.
I have a bad wrist and I'm always stretching it. So if you see me do that, I'm really not waving, I swear.
For the teachers in the audience, you always get those students that just like stretch. You're like, oh.
Where I'm waving, I'm applauding silently.
I don't have many friends, so I'm going to interpret as a wave.
Yeah. Too many Zoom meetings today.
Yeah, the jazz hands or the silent snap.
Spirit fingers. Yes, spirit fingers.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, spirit fingers.
So Jess did a video not too long ago, and she was talking about the stages that we were going through at this process. And Jess, maybe that might be a good opportunity to chat a little bit further about that. We're now about 2 months into things. I would say that we've kind of all adapted potentially to working from home, not hurting our children too often, trying to make sure that everybody's fed and dressed and going for walks. I do 2-hour walks daily, those types of things. But Jess, that video that you did was really, really good. So maybe if you wanted to chat a little bit about that, and maybe we'll hear what stage people feel they're at, and maybe they want to share what they're experiencing.
Yeah, and by no means am I an expert on grief, but I read a fascinating article in the Harvard Business Review this month that talked about that discomfort that you're feeling is grief, and it mirrored the stages of grief. Denial, meaning, no, this thing's not even real. Can anybody think back to 2 months ago today, which was the day the pandemic was declared? I remember going to a meeting, we were all very aware of it, but we chose to hug anyway. So we were just in a complete state of denial. Then, and the stages aren't always linear, they happen in different ways, but there could have been anger. This was supposed to be my big year. What do you mean you're telling me I have to stay home? There could be depression or sadness that sounds like, well, I don't know when this thing's going to end. How long is it going to go on? Bargaining. Okay, fine. If I do this for 2 weeks, if I do this for another 2 weeks, then it'll be fine. And then finally, we move into acceptance. And so I know for myself, going through those stages of grief, and those are the Kubler-Ross stages of grief, that they also have a change matrix that examines similar milestones in our grief and in our development. So we move on to acceptance. And one of the most fascinating things is that Kubler-Ross's research partner, David Kessler, has actually added a 6th stage to the stages of grief, which is the search for meaning and purpose. And so I think that's the stage that I'm at. I've gotten to the acceptance stage of working at home or whatever the new normal is starting to look like. And we start to look for meaning and purpose. And so that's sort of our theme for tonight as we start talking about pivoting. What is it that you've got to look forward to as you are going through this unprecedented time. We should do a shot every time somebody says unprecedented time. Nobody brought wine though. This is
Oh, we're hearing a lot of clinking. Somebody may be pouring the wine. We can hear a lot of that there.
Dinner. I think they're doing dinner. I think it's
Oh, dinner. Is that what it is?
Oh, let's see. There, I think we just muted them. So anyone else want to share what you're doing right now around your pivot?
Yes.
Yeah, please, Colleen, and then Patricia.
So I've wanted to do live broadcasting on for a long time, and I haven't. It's kind of, I didn't have the guts or something, or maybe I didn't feel like I had the time. Anyway, for the last, this is the third week, I've been giving an 11 a.m. Meditative sun salutation class on Zoom for the last 2.5. Today was the third Monday. And I'm learning a whole lot of things, like how to keep my whole body and not just my head or my feet on the camera. I have a core of people that come every day, and it's just lovely. And nice. I do feel like I don't feel like I'm suffering. I feel like if anything, I'm developing habits that I want to keep for afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
Congratulations.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Colleen. What about you, Patricia?
Well, there's been times where it's been super busy, and it's been such a pleasure to help people bring their workshops and presentations or even meeting facilitation online and make it engaging and interactive. So that's been such a joy. And then weeks that are a lot more quiet than normal, I've really been trying to give myself grace and trying not to compare myself to others, what I should be doing, or how, that to-do list of what should be accomplished during this time, and trying to balance that out.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. Giving yourself grace, or being gentle on yourself during this time. And I appreciate that, not comparing yourself to others, because it's easy to look at what other people are doing and think, oh, I'm so far behind. But in reality, we all need that time to deal with what we're going through. Shelley, did you have something else that you wanted to share? And then the Headless Horseman, I think that's David.
Yeah, our horseless headman. I think it's the other way around.
Horseless headman.
The man sans cheval, sans horse there. All right. Yes, I was whining, as one does, about all the different things, but I realized I have way too many irons and too many fires. And one thing, and Jeff, I'd love to hear feedback on pivoting about this, is that I've decided to incorporate several of my lines of business into one live online with digital program. I have several digital online programs that are already running, and I'm trying to integrate, and actually I'm working with Lisa Larder on understanding the marketing strategy for all four of them. But what sort of came out of it is, and I think it's really helpful to work with people about like mapping out what your assets are. And this is how we did it in December. My husband and I mapped out who are all the customers for all the lines of business, what are all the assets in terms of what are all the offerings. And what came out of it was this blindingly obvious conclusion that my book, Words That Change Minds, drives all the business. So that was one thing. And then the second thing was, how do I take advantage of that? And where we seem to have come to, although I have to offload a bunch of stuff to do it, is that my consultant trainer certification program could use a lot of the digital assets I've already created and do a combination of live online and in between the live online sessions, here's the digital stuff that you can go and do on your own. I don't quite know how to pull it all together, and I don't quite know how to get rid of all the other stuff that's not that. So I'm that's why I'm having trouble making decisions. So anything about decision-making strategies would be really helpful. So that's where I'm at, yeah.
I love it. I love that strategic, you know, they say it's time to work on the business, not in the business.
Yeah,
and so
that's what sticky notes are for, right? Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
We're learning a lot about that in our writing group because sticky notes have become our best friends. For those that are in our writing group, it's a phenomenal trick that you know, to help you kind of streamline things.
Hey, you know, Shell, this is one of the things I'd say. This is Jeffrey, by the way, and you don't have to get rid of all the other things. Why? They live a life. Let them live a life. So figure out, you know, and you'll see in the stuff that we did, I created what I call this giant sequoia tree over top of it, and very much with the purpose of owning the category. And you'll see that we own C-suite. We own hundreds of names of C-suite. We own tons of intellectual property that we started saying, what might this thing look like 9 years from now? What might we want? You know, to the pack, we just launched C-suite loans, C-suite supplies. I mean, we're doing all these different things. So think about your category, and then how could you be that network or that canopy that I actually call it the sequoia effect. If you think about a sequoia tree, and if you look at great platforms, that's what they built. And by the way, that's the next book, by the way, is the sequoia effect. And we already registered it, and, you know, we've already figured out, staked it out, because we're thinking 24 months ahead. And I'll show you those kinds of things in the presentation. But think about how what is that piece over that, Shell, that you could own. And then you've got this academy, you've got your live cast, you've got the speaking, you've got all the things. I'm going to show you a chart today called the thought value chain. And so many of our speakers today are in some bad shape. Why? Because they always looked at themselves as just a speaker. When a speaker was one aspect of what you have, you're really, truly, if you think about it, and where I want most of you to think about is you're a media company. As a media company, you can do this, this, and this, and this. You don't have to do all those things, but if you do, and if you look at it from that perspective, you'll think of your keynotes as differently. Like, you know, and I'll talk about this a little bit later, but, you know, where people say, well, I never speak for free. Well, then you're an idiot. Because I will speak for free every day, and I do every day, and I'm doing 10x more in revenue per speech than I do as a keynote, getting 27,000 or 35,000 hours a keynote. And I'm doing 10x for free speech. Now you see Jennifer is there, who lines all those things up for me. She finds target-rich environments for me to go and speak at. And so I'll do free speeches day in and day out if it's a target-rich environment. So anyway, if you look at yourself as a media company, if you look at yourself as a network or a category, you're going to own this space, then look at it from that perspective. And you don't have to get rid of all that other stuff. It could still sit out there because somebody's going to buy it. That's the cool thing, you know. You just might not push it as much as you used to.
Thank you, Jeffrey. Yeah, we are in the business of IP and monetizing that IP. Let's hear from the horseless headman, David Guthrow. Take us into our meeting.
So my pivot, I decided to go the opposite direction everyone else, where everyone else is losing their head in the midst of this environment. I thought I'd lose my body just as a differentiator. And there's so many different things that I've been doing with it, but as some of you may know, I've been running a thought exchange to see what kind of conversations would you like to have with a horseless headman. First thing I realized, though, is sometimes I'm too clever for my own good, and I didn't realize many people did not know about the headless horseman. So I have to back up on that just a little bit. But as a way to have kind of different conversations and different perspectives, it kind of gives me the freedom to do that. So I'm quite looking forward to where that's going to take me in the midst of right now I'm majorly focusing on karma accumulation rather than revenue accumulation, because I figure the next life is going to be awesome.
Love it. Karma accumulation, not leads accumulation. That's fantastic. Thank you. I see that we're joined by a number of other people, including we have a few special guests tonight joining us. I see Dorothy has joined us. She is joining us as a guest. We've got some of our regular recurring folks. Hello, Shahab and Bruce and Francis and Cody and Barb, Penny, Emily, I see you there, although not in 3D. There you are. Wonderful.
And we have our new member, Denise O'Brien, that just came in. So she's our newest member to the Toronto chapter. So everyone, just welcome her as much as you can. Also for our national people, that is one of our newest members. She joined actually this week, which is an amazing thing. So welcome. I'm not seeing her visually on my screen, but you know, we're so happy that she can join Toronto, and at some point we'll all get together and meet her in person.
Awesome. Any other thoughts as we just get ready to head into Jeffrey's program? Any other piece of advice, anything that you want to share about your journey these last couple months that might benefit this group? Please feel free to either type in the chat, or we're at the point where our Zoom screen is too big to see everybody at once. So we'll, if you raise your hand, then we can happily look at that. And we'll remind you that programming, our group, led by Stephen DeWitt with Francis and Rena, has been doing an amazing job. They had a plan at the beginning of the year, and then, you know, something changed somewhere along the way, and they've done a pivot with our own programming. So they'll have an announcement about what's coming up next. You may have heard the mention that there's a CSP course that is being offered on Thursday for anybody looking for their CSP. Other exciting news for CAPS members, you may have heard of eSpeakers. We all get a complimentary base membership for eSpeakers. They are now offering a virtual certification. So you can make your appointment with eSpeakers, and it's a 30-minute phone call or 30-minute Zoom call. And you'll end up with a video that goes on their website, and it's at a very, very reasonable cost. Or if you have the pro membership, then it is free. So look into getting your eSpeakers virtual presenter certificate as part of your CAPS advantage.
So I see that our lovely leaders, Ron Sang, is online. So Ron, you know, I think Jessica, unless there's anybody else that wants to share anything, we'll let Ron kick off our meeting and welcome Jeffrey. Jeffrey's already heard from a lot of us, and but we'll pass it over to Ron.
Thank you so much, Roxanne. And thank you so much, Jessica and Roxanne, for kicking off our mix and mingle. How about a virtual round of applause for our special hosts? We do this. We do the special hand thing. No one can hear us when we do this. We're twirling light bulbs. We're doing Bhangra moves. We're screwing light bulbs. Here we are. Here we are. So.